Patch review. Oh boy, everybody, it's time for a patch review. That's right, everybody's favorite time. Always get a lot of views on these, so that's always good. Patch 2.3.2. I did not cover 2.3.1 because, well, it was rather short, and it basically had a bunch of hot fixes in it that made sure that your game didn't crash, as well as added a bunch of things that made sure that some precursor stuff like the Jironi and Abaul would not pop up for any other empires, which meant that you would get stuck. But thankfully, in patch 2.3.2, there is this bunch of stuff here that is kind of useful when it comes to finding more of those precursor sites. Sadly, there's also a bunch of stuff in there where I'm just thinking by myself, okay then. That's curious. So let's dive right in. It's version 2.3.2, Ancient Relics. Producer's note from good old Jamor, who has done an excellent job as always writing these up from the team. From a producer's note, in the interest of getting all these fixes out as fast as possible, there are currently no localizations except for English. That's totally understandable. The localization team will have to deal with this stuff separately. It's just making sure that the patch gets rolled out as fast as possible. It's a much better experience that we had with Megacorp, where I felt that it was a little bit pre-cooked, so to speak, a little bit undercooked, a little bit of a soggy bottom, if you know what I mean by that. For those of you who watch the Great British Bake Off, I do, so yeah. Ancient Relics Story Pack features. So we got a bunch of random outcomes. So every single site has random outcomes that are attached to it. So for instance, you can find a bunch of resources. You can find a bunch of additional relics. Now there's a bunch of new ones being added. So for instance, Archaeological Loop in the Deja Vu Dig will now have different story text, and the outcome is temporarily traumatizing your scientists, most likely reducing the amount of clues that you're going to get in that dig site to make sure that you stick on a little bit longer and that you get less experience over time and that sort of thing. I don't know if there's an actual trade attached to this. I haven't actually taken a look at the patch itself in terms of the gameplay. We're just going over the text right here. Then there's a new random outcome for a custom job in the Cut to Fit story part, and basically it will give you terrestrial sculpting. So if you are somebody who really likes to terraform very early on, and especially in the current version of the game where habitability is pretty much everything, getting this terrestrial sculpting tech early on is actually incredibly good, because getting those terraformed planets up and running so we can get more population is incredibly helpful. In addition, if you, for instance, get the abandoned terraforming event, then dismantling the terraforming device will also get you terrestrial sculpting. Before, you could just continue the terraforming process and potentially get a slightly better planet. But getting terrestrial sculpting early on by for instance, with that event chain is totally worth it now. So yeah, terrestrial sculpting, go and get it. So important for population at the moment. So we're looking a little bit of balance stuff. We added a new artifact action to discover a precursor site for 25 minor artifacts. Such a huge deal. I've been having quite a lot of issues with various precursors lately, where I'm stuck kind of on 4 or 5 precursor sites, and being able to spend minor artifacts, especially if you have the rubricator, which technically you don't really get until the middle of the game. Getting 25 minor artifacts and spending those on a precursor site is totally worthwhile, especially if you are locked in somewhere and you have a bunch of empires around you and you don't really have anything to survey anymore, and you still really need to get a precursor, especially if you're a robot and you have Cybrex or also Baul, but we'll get into that shortly. Spending those 25 minor artifacts is a small price to pay to unlock the relic that you're going to get from your precursors. So that right there is a nice little addition. I do like that one. I don't know whether or not it is part of the reverse engineering technologies. They're not particularly clear on that, but I doubt that is the case. Reduced AI expansion distance to 2 for slightly less gruesome Balkan borders. Okay, so what this means is this AI would initially expand to 4 systems ahead of their territory. Basically what that would mean is they would work themselves towards choke nodes and stuff like that. And you will get some pretty crazy borders if you were not careful. In the example, for instance, that we have during the Driven Simulator stream is that the empires surrounding us have some pretty weird borders. They will still be pretty aggressive compared to before, and they don't like to be boxed in and that sort of thing, so they will try to make sure that they get themselves to choke notes, so you need to be a little bit more proactive in pushing your territory towards places where in the past it may not have been such a high priority. Oh, now we get to the big one. Okay. New Ba'ul life seeding decision no longer costs as any costs, since the cost is paid by activating the relic. Okay, so what does the new Ba'ul life seeding decision do? Okay, so you have the Ba'ul, okay, one of the precursor species. You get the relic. You have the opportunity to spend 150 influence, basically the cost of 2 systems without any of the modifiers attached to it, like for reductions from expansion, all that sort of thing. Spend 150, what do you get? 1 free Gaia world. Previously, you would have to spend, I believe, 200 additional influence to get another Gaia world up and running. So 150 plus 200, 350 in total. Now you get it for 150. This is incredibly powerful. For any species that is out there, and especially with the habitability modifiers, even at like 80% habitability, it is so powerful to have New Ba'ul life seeding. It's pretty much on par, almost, I would like to say, with machine empires in terms of competitiveness. Sure, machine empires can almost go anywhere. No, they can literally go anywhere because they have 200% habitability bonus, but getting the Ba'ul life seeding bonus is just absolutely insane because it's a perfect habitat. It's a 100% modifier to habitability, which means that your pops will work with maximum happiness, with maximum output. So a Gaia world for 150 influence every 10 years, my lord, is this powerful. This is pretty much on par now with the Cybrex war engine in terms of power. That is insane. And on top of that, you'll get a bunch of free pops with that as well. So you can just put a colony down, instantly put New Ba'ul life seeding on it, and be like, hey, so this place is ready for expansion right now, and I can put some growth on this as well. So powerful, especially if you're playing somewhat wide or Everest style, so that you're gonna go like optimizing all your worlds for life seeding and stuff like that. In addition to migration modifiers, my god, this is powerful. I cannot understate that. Then we have the Ether Drake Trophy Relic effect on Unity. Increases from a flat 10 per month, which by the time you take the Ether Drake down is absolutely nothing, to a flat 10% per month. Now we're talking. And by the mid-game, if you get the Ether Drake down, you know, getting only 10 Unity is absolutely nothing. And I'm pretty sure that the previous site would also give us a flat percentage as well, rather than getting just a bunch of Unity. This previously, like, I've talked about this before, that just 10 Unity is nothing. It's completely and totally nothing by the mid-game. At plus 10%, however, now we're talking. Like, you get 500 Unity, and all of a sudden plus 10%, that's 50 extra. That's huge. That's massive. Just make sure that you get at least 100 Unity by the time you get it, otherwise you still get less on it. But it's a scaling thing, right? It's a percentage. Scales of the Worm, which is part of Ancient Relics, but also part of Horizon Signal, has a very similar thing. It previously had a effect on Unity, I believe also was 10 Unity points, but now gives you plus 10 physics and research speed, which makes sense. It is a black hole entity, and it does give you physics, so that makes sense. You do need to kill the worm for it, though, rather than embracing it. So whether or not you want to have a species that is Tomb World orientated and then asking for a 10% research speed bonus, don't know whether or not you really want to go down that route. I do still think that getting the worm itself and terraforming your entire capital system into Tomb Worlds is totally worth your while. Rubricator Relic event on Unity replaced with 20% science research per month. Okay. So but previously this was a plus 10. The Rubricator, once again, you can get it into the mid game if you take down the shroud, the shard even. And previously it was 10 Unity, and now it's plus 20 Society per month, which is a nice little boost. Again, Unity does not really affect things all that much by the mid-game, and same thing with the Ether Drake there. This is a nice one. So the Surveyor Relic, which is one of the Rogue Drone relics, or is the Rogue Drone relic. It is actually exceptionally good, especially if you're playing tall. You get a automatic plus 5 resources of almost any variety, including strategic resources, somewhere in your empire, which you then can go and mine. It previously was 150 influence, I guess, but now you can get it for 500 energy. Now you can take the drones down relatively early in the game, say around 60 years or something along those lines, and then getting the Surveyor for those boosts, like you can get 5 gas or 5 crystals or 5 motes or anything like that. And that's a huge boon, even in the tech department and even in the energy and the mineral department, even though they're not that great. But yeah, if you can get strat resource out of that, that's amazing. So yeah, 500 energy instead of 150 influence. That is great. I do like that. UI, you will now get a pop-up when we settle the last pop of a colony to make sure if you want to destroy said colony. And this ties into a bunch of other things. So right now, if you move pops around and there is not enough pops on the planet to support the buildings that are on there, you will get a pop-up. And now there will be one saying, hey, you're about to move your last pop off of the planet. Are you sure you want to do this? Because it will destroy said colony. There's another bug with this. It's also fixed in this particular patch, and we'll get to that shortly. But it's nice to have. I do like that, so you don't accidentally destroy it, and you need to spend God knows how many resources on it yet again. Oh, here's a fun one. So, I'm gonna just completely read this one out because it is a bunch of funny stuff here. Added the ability to toggle Steam-rich presence on or off in settings. If you don't want your friends and family to know, you're extinguishing all sentient life as a race of murderous Fanatic Purifier BDSM catgirls. What does this mean? Steam-rich presence. So if you're playing on Steam, for those of you that are, what it basically means is that you can see on Steam what kind of nation you're playing as with which particular traits. So you could go in the Steam friends list and see, hey, Jerry over there is playing as Fanatic Purifiers that are called this and this species, and they are probably in the midst of destroying everything around you. So yeah, maybe a little bit awkward to talk about when it comes to Thanksgiving dinner or something along those lines, especially if you have got it called like space waifus or something along those lines. So yeah, this is a nice little thing. Fixed a draw issue on the Mechano Calibrator and pre-space rattling worlds that will cause Resource District to displace a giant box. So the Mechano Calibrator is a relic. I don't know off the top of my head what it actually does. It could be... No, it's not the Surveyor. The Mechano Calibrator. I'll have to look this up later, but yeah, it would mess around with rattling worlds, which are the Forsaken worlds that you can find. There's like a whole bunch of... It's a small empire in space that's dead, and basically it's completely covered with 4 or 5 different tomb worlds spread over 3 to 4 systems, and then if you leave them alone for 50 years, the rattlings show up. So always colonize them first, especially if you're machines, because that's a lot of worlds that you want to keep your eyes on. But yeah, apparently there was an issue with, and now it's fixed. AI fixed activating population control when it shouldn't. Thanks. Fixed colony automation spamming to too many districts at once in multiplayer. That sounds like a desync and a half waiting to happen. And lots of little tweaks to the AI economic decision making. And that's probably something to do with our boys and girls from the various AI mods that are out there. I'm under the impression that the dev team is working quite a lot with the AI modders out there to balance the AI economy quite a lot more. So that's good to know. Modding using brackets in yeah, if you want to read mods. Okay, now we get to the bug fixes, everybody. There's some good stuff here. Fix colonies not being properly destroyed when emptied of population. Go forth and purge once more. We had this in one of our streams or in one of our videos where a colony did not automatically get destroyed when we moved all of the pops away to a different place. It mainly is very annoying with robots and stuff like that, where you want to move all your new friends or bio trophies or assimilation targets to a world to be assimilated, and all of a sudden you're stuck with a planet in your outliner that has no pops on it, but it has districts. So yeah, so this has now been fixed. Fixed barren worlds not terraforming. This is also something that I found. Mars, for instance, you couldn't terraform before. All the nanite worlds were barren. Basically, any world that is a terraforming candidate, like Mars or the nanite worlds, were not properly terraforming before, but it's now been fixed, so that's good. So yeah, then we got fixed army mysteriously gaining strength, regenerating or disappearing without a trace during invasions. Armies were a little bit borked recently. They would get like 500 out of 40 strength, for instance. So that's good. So yeah, that's now been fixed. Fixed since ascended robots that were robo-modded not being assembled on planets. So ascended robots, so ascension perks and all that stuff, they didn't grow before. That's now been fixed, so ascension empires are now a lot better. Gestalt empires starting with either unemployed drones or unmanned job slots have been fixed. Fixed a crash where planet building a robot template. I've never seen that. Fixed an unplayable has typo atrocity in the Grand Herald event. Grand Herald has not been nerfed, I would like to point out, so that's nice. Fixed the bug where Steam Rich presence would sometimes fail to display you as playing as a race of murderous Fanatic Purifier BDSM catgirls with too many ethics. Thanks, Jamor. Thanks. It's good to know that you're into the Fanatic Purifier BDSM catgirls. Somebody's gonna get a t-shirt at PDXCon at this rate. Fixed so the pops will not promote specialist rulers if there are unemployed pops from those strata already available. Get back to the acid mines, you proles. Ah yeah, okay, so basically you would end up with situations where you would have too many specialists or rulers, and then they would need to be demoted once again to a lower tier, because there would be a slot open, and if you had an unemployed specialist or ruler, they would not automatically jump into that slot. Therefore, a lower strata would see, hey, there's a job open there. I want to be an aristocrat now. So, yeah. That's been fixed. Inscrutable power achievement now properly looks for the Galatron. Okay, so if you for those of you who actively play with Iron Man, good on you. The Galatron is now back on the menu. Planets do not start with uninhabited pops. Habitat-specific orbital deposits should no longer rarely appear on non-habitats. The Givinator skill is no longer a thing. This makes me sad. The Givinator was awesome. It was basically a typo in the governor skill modifier. Driven assimilators can now have proper farming worlds. That's good. No longer possible to merge a salvage cruiser with normal fleets to prevent exploits with upgrading and resource refunds. Ah yes, resource refunding, it's always good. Ah yeah, this is a good one. Fix the atomic clock event, annihilating primitives, but leaving observation stations intact to observe their irradiated cadavers, I guess. So what is the atomic clock every once in a while? I think this is a distant stars event. If you float around somewhere every once in a while, you get an atomic clock. I think it's called like 57 years and X days. You can get a bunch of outcomes. Like, for instance, a planet can get terraformed into a Gaia world. You can get a Great Tempest ship, or it blows up your planet. That is also there. For those of you who are wondering, yes, the Science Nexus is now properly set up as something that you can get used to get Galactic Wonders achievement, or at least the Ascension perk. Apparently, before the place wasn't complete if you didn't have a brain in a jar. What it means is that the Science Nexus actually has a bunch of events attached to it where scientists go missing and they become a brain in a jar, and then it outputs even more science. So yeah, that's a thing. It's completed now, though, so. Fixed events. Rubricator would spawn on a second time. That's good. Fix being able to make a slave army from any species whatsoever, so long a single pop of any race was enslaved on that planet, even though it was an admirable display of class solidarity. Cool. That's nice. So you can have infinite slave armies by using only one pop. And finally, prevented the Baul chain from spawning any dig sites in the Sol system, because that made even less sense than lasers making sound in space. Fun fact, lasers don't make any sounds whatsoever. They are just literally light beams. Cool. So yeah, there you go. Patch notes 2.3.2. Patch review. If you have any comments, feel free to pop it in below. I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm really concerned about this here life seeding decision no longer have any cost. That is insane. That is... New Baul life seeding is on par pretty much now with the Warforge from the Cybrex. Dang, that is so good. That is so good. In the meantime as well, I started a Twitch channel. Feel free to look it up. It's on twitch.tv/a_spec. We got a couple of hundred subscribers now. Not subscribers, followers now. Subscribers mean something else on that platform. And I look to stream just every other day. And you can join me there for some more playthroughs. The Driven Simulator stuff, as well as the stuff with the bio pops, the bio trophies, the Rogue Server Tours, of course, was recorded over there as well. That's just literally an outlet for me because I'm recording anyway, so you guys may as well join in for the fun. But we're gonna go and wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching, and this has been Patch Notes. Until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, each other.